What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Nightly Athletics Podcast. My name is Jasper.
I'm Riley.
Welcome back. So it is currently January 2nd, which means 5 out of the 6 NY6 bowls have been played. The sixth one is being played right now. That's UNC versus Texas A&M. And what a treat the NY6 bowls have given us this weekend. Let's start off with, I think, the most exciting game, the Georgia game. I don't know exactly. I forgot who they played.
Cincinnati.
Yes. So what are your thoughts on this?
That was a ball game. I watched that one. I really wanted Cincinnati to win.
Yeah, I think everyone did.
Best, dude. Cincinnati winning would have been the best way to start the new year.
Right. Yeah.
Cincinnati kind of lost the game for themselves though. They were up and Georgia had no timeouts and they threw the ball on third down. There's like a minute and a half left. You run the ball, you run off clock. They couldn't got down to the field and get that field goal.
Right.
Cincinnati lost the game themselves. So.
Yeah. Yep. Honestly, it was such a blast to watch. I think this game is a very big wake up call for people who didn't support Cincinnati. It shows that these guys can compete.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're ranked high for a reason. Now, I think people need to realize that Cincinnati only lost by a game-winning 53-yard field goal. If you would have missed that field goal, they would have won the game.
That was a nice kick though.
It was a great kick. Easy. It was right down the middle.
I'm pretty sure it's career long too.
Yeah, it was a career long. He drained it, and mad respect to that kicker. He put ice in the veins. But I think this is a big wake up call. I think this shows. I think Cincinnati and Coastal this year did a great job showing the Go5 teams. They just did a great job overall.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm super excited to see where Cincinnati goes next year. Their recruiting class is pretty weak, but I mean, it seemed that
they're. I know the 2022 class is really good. 2021 is solid for what they're doing.
Right.
Luke Fickell, obviously great coach. Desmond Ritter returns next year. They're going to be another team to watch out for. Possibly undefeated once again.
That's just the thing, though. Is he going to return? Wait, do you think he's going to return next year?
I think there's no reason he shouldn't.
I'm with you.
If he gets drafted, he's a 6th-round pick, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
He's a good quarterback, but yeah.
Yeah, he's solid. He is a great quarterback, but I think obviously, like you said, there's no point he shouldn't stay another year, right? Because right now, the highlights of this draft, Justin Fields, which we'll get to later, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Kyle Trask. Yeah. Mac Jones, if he goes.
It's a nice quarterback class.
It is a great quarterback
I'm pretty sure this is our most stacked class since the Baker Mayfield draft with Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Lamar, all those guys.
For sure. And I think Desmond, like Riley said, there's no reason why he shouldn't come back. His team is super solid. He's losing a lot of great seniors. Yeah, but I mean, like Riley said, the 2021 recruiting class looks pretty solid. The 2022 is, I think, going to be the best in program history if it keeps up.
Pretty sure it's top 10 at the moment.
I think,
could be wrong. The last time I checked, they're like 8.
Yeah, so. And that's never heard of a Go5 team being that high up in the recruiting rate. That's unheard of. It's so exciting to see a Go5 team compete like this, and hopefully it's a good wake up call for other Go5 teams like Coastal, UCF. I think is Boise a Go5?
Mountain West.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm super excited to watch the Go5. It's made it a lot more enjoyable for viewers to watch. But I don't know. It just kind of depends. I think overall though, it was a great game. Georgia played well. Georgia's great. They have a good future coming up. I don't really know that one wide receiver. Oh man, I can't think of his name. Number 1,
George Pickens.
Yes, he is a unit. That guy is a unit.
He's a baller.
He's a baller. I didn't really know of him prior to this game, and now I know his name. I don't know what year he is or anything, but he looks super solid. Moving quickly away from the NY6 Bowl, Riley, I want to get your thoughts on this. I can go first if you need me to.
Which game? Let's hear it.
Well, that's the thing is, it's not a game. So today, some pretty insane news came out. 5-star tight end from LSU, Eric Gilbert, has entered the transfer portal, and according to some sources, that he feels homesick. If you don't know, His hometown is Marietta, Georgia, and that could be a big lead that he's going to go to Georgia. What are your thoughts on this, Riley?
So I'm pretty sure, if I'm wrong, correct me. He's the highest rated tight end recruit of
Ever?
all time.
Yep.
I mean, so he was obviously highly recruited out of high school. But this LSU team, there are a lot of allegations within the program. So I feel like possibly that is a reason
Mm,
for transferring. I don't know, but
mm. Got it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Eric Gilbert is, like Riley said, the highest tight end recruit to ever play the game. Um, Now we all know that highest recruit doesn't mean the best player. Eventually, that NFL, you see guys that are 2 stars or unranked like Adam Thielen go out and be all pro, all stars, Pro Bowlers. Um, it's interesting. Uh, you know, I think Eric Gilbert went to LSU expecting the same air raid offense,
mm-hmm.
that same long ball, deep ball
And
passes.
Joe Brady using Joe Brady doesn't help him because obviously
Right,
I know LSU fans don't like to admit that, but he was a big reason why they won a national championship.
right.
So I mean, him leaving, he's got to change the scheme just a little bit. But honestly, it's just all like the allegations going on. I don't blame all the guys for wanting to leave,
Right.
but
Right.
I
And
think
like
I think I think I honestly, it might not be, but I think saying you're homesick could just be
an
an easier way to
excuse
just
to
to
get
say I don't
out.
want to be there anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that, rumors have been going around that Eric was going to be leaving LSU starting in the midseason. It's been a rumor basically since he started playing. And during his very few times with the very few games with LSU, he actually did really well, which was surprising. Not surprising, seeing he's the number one tight end in the draft, but or in the class. But I think he has a bright future. If he goes to Georgia, they just came off a great bowl win against Cincinnati, like we just talked about. I think that he could do pretty
JT
well.
Daniels is him and JT Daniels. But then I also see some people saying Tennessee, which I don't know why he'd go to Tennessee. Apparently,
Yeah, I've noticed
his
that. Like,
former quarterback who's at Tennessee. But honestly, why? Like you're
yeah,
not gonna win nothing. I mean,
right, right, right,
you don't see Tennessee throwing tight ends into the league. So
right, right. Okay. So what's another bowl game that was played? Um, what's a good bowl game that we could talk about here? We obviously have the semifinals, but we can get to that at a later date. See here.
the Florida OU game.
The Florida OU
Not really
game.
much to talk
Yeah.
about there.
You wanna talk about that? Let's hear it.
Dude. All right, Florida was missing guys. All right, but dude, OU looks so solid. Like we look like we wanted it more straight up. And I think Dan Mullen saying that, calling them a scout team, and saying that the bowl is meaningless. Yet a couple days prior, he was saying how much he loves bowl games. So I think Dan Mullen just that's a terrible look for the university. The way he went about his comments in that game, uh, they just they weren't motivated. I hate that excuse so bad, man. Like Big 12 just went undefeated in bowl games, but in the SEC, their excuse to losing is that they're not motivated. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I don't
It's
know. It's
bad.
kind of annoying sometimes.
It's bad. It's I think honestly that is the worst and most embarrassing thing you can say after getting your butt whooped. Honestly, the worst thing you can say is we weren't ready, or it's that we played our last game in 2020 11 days ago. That's not allowed. You got to
Mm-hmm.
go out there and you have to do your job, which is help the
There's
team win.
big props to Kyle Trask. I mean, he didn't
Yeah,
have to go out
man.
there and play, but he, as a leader, he went out there and played the last game of the season. Obviously, he didn't play very good. Threw three
Right,
picks in the first quarter. Emory
right.
Jones came in and played, but
I
at least
think
he showed up, man. Like you got to give him some props for
right.
that.
I'm with you. I think people just I think people just want to see Kyle Trask downfall. I'm a huge Kyle Trask fan. I love this guy. That's also because I like the Florida Gators, but I've liked this kid. I
Yeah,
think the problem is that people don't understand that losing your first and top receiver, aka Kyle Pitts, is devastating. Not just for any college quarterback, but any quarterback in general. If Travis Kelsey leaves Patrick Mahomes, Of course, he still has Tyreek Hill, but that connection is gone. So when Tyreek Hill's covered, who else does he go to? Or if you want to go way back in time, Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson. When Calvin Johnson wasn't open or was out for a game, Matthew Stafford's stats hit the floor.
Yeah.
And imagine that times 3. Kyle Trask lost his top receiver, his second best receiver, and his third best receiver.
His
all
top
to the
4
draft.
his top 4 receivers.
His top 4 guys gone. The whole thing gone. And it's like jaw dropping.
But it's like then you have that culture in the SEC. It's like the next man up. It's next man up until you lose. If they would have won, they'd be like, oh yeah, next man up. Like what's like you just can't have an excuse for everything, man. It's how I say that. Like, you gotta own up for it at some point. And I hate opt out. I think the opt out culture
opt-out culture
sucks.
is so bad. Terrible.
Again, I'm pretty sure I said it in the last episode. I made a whole post on Instagram about it. Paragraph like that long, dude. I don't like it, man.
I understand why players opt out, right? If you're going to the draft, you want to stay healthy. You don't want to get a torn ACL like Derek King. Derek King did with Miami. In the bowl
luckily he already had said he was returning to the next season.
Right.
But
if let's say if Derek King was going to the draft and tore his ACL in that bowl game like he did, that would have been devastating for his career.
Mm-hmm.
I understand things like that happen, right? But how many, besides King, how many times do you see a star player get injured in a bowl game? Not really that often. If you talk about Justin Fields, which we'll get to that later, it's not. I don't really see anything. It's not really common. But the opt-out culture is terrible.
Like obviously injuries happen. It happens every game.
Right.
And so it's like saying it's like a meaningless bowl game. Like, bro.
Bowl games are so fun.
Because you have some pride in your university and just play.
Right.
Is how I see that.
Speaking of fun bowl games, Mississippi State and Tulsa in the Armed Forces Bowl.
My hometown team.
Wow. I think that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in college football, ever. And I've been watching college football for like 6-7 years, so I kind of have an idea. That is the most disrespectful, unsportsmanlike, immature act I've ever seen on both sides.
Yeah.
What I've been told by sources is that a Tulsa assistant coach threw a racial slur at a Mississippi State player. That exchanged. Those two got heated. And then as you guys saw, it got built up. Number 4 was kicking guys in the head, running away. Mike Leach was up in the stands taking photos with players while the whole thing was going on.
Hey, what a legend Mike Leach is, though.
Still, though, like, come on, man. My take, like I said, most unsportsmanlike, immature, disgusting, and just sick.
But I mean, I don't want to defend this. I'm not trying to defend it. But anytime something like that happens, it's always the racial slur thing.
I know.
I just want to know how truthful that is. If it is truthful, it's a terrible thing by the Tulsa assistant coach. But if it isn't, there was no reason to fight.
Right.
I just want to know like the truth. Whenever what's his name? Myles Garrett hit Mason Rudolph in the head and with his helmet. That was terrible.
That was bad.
They play again tomorrow, which would be
fun, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that's not bad. But like things like that, they said that Mason Rudolph said said a racial slur. I just want to know how truthful that is. I don't like Mason Rudolph, but I would still like to know if it actually happened.
Yeah. According to Kyle Bonurga, which is an ESPN staff writer, he writes, "It is unclear what sparked the fight, which included kicking and punching and involved several members of both teams. What happened was some shoving near midfield during the post-game handshake spilled toward and down one of the sidelines. Tulsa, its conference, the AAC, and Mississippi State said they would review what would happen and hand out discipline if warranted." Mississippi State coach Mike Leach said Thursday he wasn't sure what caused the fight. "It's dumb. The root of it is dumb, no matter what the root of it is. The root of it's dumb, and the continuation of it is dumb," he stated. I would have that solidity in the category of dumb. Now, where the dumb started, I'm not entirely sure." End quote. That's the most Mike Leach
that was
I have
definitely
ever
the most
heard.
Mike Leach thing I've ever heard.
Now,
I don't think I've ever heard dumb used more.
Yeah.
In a paragraph than that.
I know, man. I think the thing is, though, out of everything, I want to quickly toss my prayers up to, I think it was number 1 or number 7 on Tulsa. after the fight, he literally, according to
He was
announcers, was
7.
having struggle breathing and had to be carried off the field
Yeah.
with help. Um, that should never, ever, ever happen. It's so wrong. If you guys watched the post game, Dan Orvalorski stated that when he played college football, those guys are actually the most disciplined because they hold that anger sitting in the positions when they're playing the game. All that other stuff is not built up anger. It's something that was said or thrown. That is anger. That is true anger. Um, but I think that was just, it was an insane game. It was definitely an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It was a good ball game as it
Oh,
was,
yeah.
but I really wanted Tulsa to come out that one hometown team, but
Yeah.
oh
Okay.
well.
Now, this is the most exciting game I want to talk about today. Ohio State, Clemson. Riley and I
Ball game.
predicted in the last pod that it would be a Clemson Alabama rematch. I think a lot of people thought the same thing, and I was shocked.
They shocked the
I
world, man.
was shocked.
And
Now,
I have a new respect for the man himself, Justin Fields.
I do too. You know what?
I was a little down on him this year because he was struggling, which I mean he was.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
several
yeah. There's no doubt.
his 2 regular season games that were ranked. I think he threw 2 touchdowns for 5 interceptions. That's a
Yeah.
bad ratio.
It was a
But
terrible ratio.
how are you gonna potentially get to have a broken rib and come out and throw 4 touchdowns? Like, dude.
Dude, the fact that, okay, real quick though, do you think that was targeting? That hit
Dude,
that
all
was
right.
on Justin Fields where he spun around and got hit in the ribs. Do you think
Yeah.
that was targeting?
Okay. By rule, technically, yes. But that rule has been broken for years at this point. It's sometimes a targeting. Yes, it's a targeting. But then there's things like that where it's like, dude, like Justin Fields kind of spun into that one. Like, what did you expect the Clemson defender to do? He can't just stop at that point.
Right. I don't know. I, you know, it's definitely targeting. According to the rules of the SEC, it is
Yeah.
targeting.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, did he intentionally spin into the defender, or was he just trying to spin to dodge
I
the
think
defender?
that was his way of trying to defend it and trying to like get away from it, kind of dodge it
Right.
a little bit.
Right.
But if I was Justin Fields, I definitely would have just slid right there. That's what
But
most quarterbacks also would do.
right.
That's what you're supposed to do.
And he
So if I
definitely
was him, that's definitely what I should have done. But he definitely spun into that a little bit.
right. And I think it's
I don't
obvious.
think it was intentional. It was obviously
Yeah.
heat of the moment, and he just had to make a decision, and that happened to be his decision.
And I think he regrets spinning into that because
Oh yeah,
if you guys
was
were watching the
crying.
game, he was literally crying, and Ryan Day was still throwing him out there on the field.
But so I don't think Ryan Day would have forced him to be out there. I think
Yeah,
that's up to Justin Fields. Like, I want to stay out there, coach. It's the biggest game of the season, type deal.
right, right.
I wouldn't put that 100% on Ryan Day.
I think it's
Obviously,
just
I didn't think he should be out there,
none of us
but
did.
he went out there and beat Clemson by what, 20,
30,
30? I couldn't
30,
remember,
I think.
but he put it on him.
The fact that he got absolutely demolished, laid out flat like that, and proceeded to throw 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane to me. And some of those touchdowns
So
were
impressive.
bombs.
Oh yeah.
He threw that thing. And I didn't know Justin Fields could throw that far. I've always looked at Justin Fields as a mid short range passer with mobility. This changes things. He was throwing like 50, 60-yard bombs down the field to Chris Olave and these guys. And that's huge when it comes to NFL scouts. This guy could have possibly in this game, and if he does very, very well in the next game, could have just went from the 2nd overall pick to the number 1 pick in the draft. I think if Justin Fields does amazing against Alabama, which is going to be very difficult, but if he pulls it off, Justin Fields could be the number 1 pick in the draft.
So, all right, this is how I see that. Sources earlier today, Jaguars are going to fire their head coach and want to bring in Justin Fields, or not just Fields, Urban Meyer. I think if that happens, you could see Justin Fields going first overall. If it doesn't, I still think it's T-Law. I think if you get Urban Meyer in Jacksonville, Justin Fields is going to be a Jaguar, and Trevor Lawrence is going to have to be a Jet.
Right.
Sorry, Trevor Lawrence, but That's just Adam Gase is also supposed to get fired earlier today. It was stated he should be fired tomorrow after their game. So
You know, speaking of the Adam Gase situation, who in the world tells the coach that they're gonna get fired before the game? Like, I understand he knew he was gonna get fired, right? But like to
all right,
publicly,
I don't know. I don't know if they told him. I think it's more of just like, hey, we plan on firing after the game tomorrow.
right? But you know what the thing is though is like he knows he's gone. Like, I think he knew
But
that
see,
earlier.
that's why if I'm him, go out with a bang and win.
Yeah, but that's like the thing is though is like, do you go out with a bang and win and
I think if the
screw the
Patriots though
franchise
too.
over, or do you lose and help the team? That's just the thing. Like,
It
there's so
depends
many
how
teams.
depends how petty he wants to be.
That's the
I
thing.
could be
That's
wrong, but
just
I'm
the
pretty sure
thing.
they play the Patriots.
How
But
petty does he
so
want
it's
to be?
not like they couldn't. They could win that if they can beat the Rams. They can beat the Patriots.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. It's just I don't know. It's interesting to me that you 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 like say, okay, by the way, you're fired after this game.
mhm.
I mean, it was expected, right? But
Yeah.
like, wow. I don't know. It's very interesting, to be honest.
All right, so we had another firing earlier today. Uh, Tom Herman finally let go by Texas. I saw it coming, but at the same time, it kind of shocked me that it came as soon as I woke up today. So I expected him to be fired, but I figured since they weren't getting Urban Meyer, they were just gonna keep him. So the fact that they fired him today was kind of surprising. I thought they were gonna keep him and then wait till further on because I had to pay him $15 million to fire him.
Yeah,
Like
it was
that buyout's
wow.
insane. So
Yeah,
who really lost there? I think Urban Meyer or Tom Herman kind of won right there.
right.
So I mean, dude, you just made $15 million to leave. Okay,
You know what's
and
amazing though? I think the best thing that happened today. Michigan's head coach Jim Harbaugh, excuse me, agreed to
extended.
a 6-year extension or
I don't
5 years
understand
technically
that.
to through
2026
2026.
for
What
what?
in the
Why?
world was
I
Michigan
don't
thinking?
understand that.
That
So I mean, obviously, yes, Jim Harbaugh's a good coach in the NFL. He hasn't really done much at, at Michigan, and you
mhm.
just extend him another 5 years
uh, after having that bad of a season, like you're
to
gonna
lose
extend
for
him?
what? For what? To lose to Ohio State 5 more times?
Exactly. I mean, as a Michigan State fan, I'm not complaining at
I
all.
wouldn't. I'm
And
pretty
keep
sure.
extending him.
Could be wrong, but OU plays him sometime in the future within the
I
2020s. So
I
I
don't
can't
know.
complain either, I
Maybe
guess.
I think because Michigan doesn't want to follow the trend of firing a head coach in college after 4 years. Because if you think about it, there's a lot of teams right now that are firing their head coaches after 4 or 5 years with the team. Chris, it takes 4 to 5 years just to get your guys in and out the
Exactly.
door.
I mean, for example, this is Lincoln Riley's, I think, fourth season, going to be his fourth season. And Bob Stoops' guys are still there. A couple of them just transferred. Like, Bob Stoops' guys are still on the roster.
Right.
Like, give it another, I guess, 2 years whenever Jim Harbaugh gets his full team of players and his recruits. It might be a little different, might not.
Right.
They gotta start winning now so they can start getting these
They
good
need to
recruits.
start winning. It's
Yeah.
simple. But I do like this move because I'm a Michigan State fan, but at the same time, I understand it though. Like you want to keep that coach because there's a chance that he could change the program. And
Hmm.
you don't want to
Yeah, but who's your replacement options too is one thing you gotta look at.
that's just the thing.
There's not a bunch of good coaches out there to replace with.
Right. Right.
You're gonna have to find some mediocre OC or DC to
Yeah.
replace Jim Harbaugh. Is that really gonna be that much better?
All right.
I mean,
Quick update too, but it's the end of the first quarter. Texas A&M is up 7-3 over North Carolina.
we both picked A&M for that one.
Yes, we did. The Jim Harbaugh thing. It's just like we'll see what happens. I do like the move. I think we should extend college coaches for longer. I mean, look at Nick Saban. Like how many years has he been coaching in general? Not just at Alabama, but he was at Michigan State for a short amount of time. So he's been around.
NFL,
Yeah, NFL. I mean,
LSU.
he and he's been the head coach for years. And of course, yes, Alabama's dominant.
Mhm.
But the thing is, they were great before Nick Saban came in. But once he
He
came
just
in, gave him
had to
what?
make him a little better.
Right.
Yeah.
It took about 5 years, I'd say. Nick Saban took that program from elite to the best. And it took what? 5 years, 4 years. And these guys are firing these coaches in 4 years because they haven't turned it around like Nick
See,
Saban did.
but the playoff doesn't help that because then they're like, hey, if you don't make the playoff, there's no
Right.
point in you being here. And so
Right.
that's where that mentality comes. It's like, hey, we're hiring you to get us to that championship level or
Right.
playoff level. And if you can't get it, there's no reason for you to be here.
Yep.
So
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't. Oh yeah, and then Alabama's offensive coordinator is taking that spot of the
the
Texas
Texas
head
job,
coach.
yeah.
By the way,
Which,
um,
well, I'm not a big fan of that hire. I know I got friends, Texas fans. None of them really like that hire. He was Pete Carroll's replacement in at USC. He didn't do anything over there. Pretty sure he
right.
coached at Washington for a little bit too. Didn't do anything over there. His winning percentage is worse than Tom Herman's. So
It's rough.
like, why'd you hire him? Like, what was the
Maybe it's
I don't
just
know. Maybe
I don't know.
maybe after he's went through the Nick Saban rehabilitation university over here, maybe that helped him a little bit. I mean, usually it helps other assistant coaches of uh, of Nick Saban's. I mean, his assistants come and go every year. I mean, there's he's got several assistants that are head coaches now, Kirby
Right.
Smart included, like a bunch of them. So I mean, this is just same old thing for Nick, but I'm not a big fan of that hire. Like,
I don't think
honestly,
anyone is. I mean,
like is
I
he
think
gonna
it's
come in there and win the Big 12 over Oklahoma
and Iowa State.
or Iowa State for?
It's like really Iowa State just played great against Oregon. They just
They played
demolished
really
Oregon.
good, and you can't use the weren't motivated argument with Oregon. They
No,
just got shut down. They
they
couldn't
just
do
got
anything.
demolished, and it's
Yeah,
fair and square. And so did Notre Dame against Alabama. That was expected. I think we all should have expected that. No
yeah.
matter what team went into the
I
fourth
think
seed.
that number 4 seed was gonna lose by 20 no matter what,
Yep.
in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah. It's these New Year's Six games have been very interesting, to be honest. It's been fun to
There's been some
watch.
good ones. There's been some blowouts.
Right.
It's been
We'll just have to see. But
yeah.
I think basically that's going to wrap it up for episode 2 of the Nightly Podcast. This one's probably going to be a little longer, but that's okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. I really do appreciate it. This will also be on Spotify and Anchor if you guys want to go listen to it, if you're going for a jog or you want to listen to it just the audio file. It will be up on Spotify. And one more quick plug, make sure you guys check out our Instagram as well. If you haven't seen our Instagram or our Twitter, we post our graphics on there all the time and it looks beautiful. We take a lot of pride in our graphics and our news and our speed to get the news out. That's all for me today and Riley. And we will see you guys in the next one.